Welcome to the final lesson of the Lorelai Knit Vest. I'm Marley Bird, your Bycrafty bestie, and I'm going to show you how to seam this puppy up. Let's go.
Show me love, show me love. This is all we got. Show me love.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back. By this point, you should have knit both the front and the back of your vest. They are independent of each other, and you are ready to add those side seams, seam up the shoulders, and then finish the neckline and the armhole trim. Seems like a lot, and it kind of is. Make sure you set aside enough time to finish each part accordingly. You don't want to stop midway through. But I know that you could have this finished and wearing it tomorrow. So, what I want you to do now is grab the instructions as they are written for this lesson or your ad-free PDF if that's what you have available to you. Grab your homework, grab your tapestry needle, and if you happen to have any clips to clip the pieces together as we seam it, make sure you have those. All right, first things first, we're going to jump in to the side seam. Okay, friends, here's my sweater. I have already seamed up this side of the sweater, and you can see I got pretty dang close with matching up the yarns along the front and the back. But right here, this is the side seam of my sweater. And because we had that one selvage stitch on either side, we are going to use mattress stitch. And when it comes all together, it makes this garter stitch column look like it's just seamless. So we get a seamless look by using the mattress stitch. The first thing we want to do is match up the wrong side. So the wrong side of your front and the wrong side of your back, match them up, okay? And then what we will do, I am going to hold this just like so. The first thing I like to do is match up my garter bands. So we have these 4 rows here that created the 2 ridges of the garter bands, and I like to match those up and I clip them with these really great sweater clips, okay? So I want to keep this bottom ribbing portion of my vest, I want to keep it open. I want it to be a vent. So I'm going to match the ends up and hold these together just like this. So it's wrong side to wrong side. So I have the right side facing me. And I'm going to find my ridge here, and just partner them up to each other. Okay. And then put my clip through it and hold it. And then I will go up to the next one and do the same thing. Now, if you have another way of matching these up, maybe you want to use straight pins, you can do that. If you want to use clothespins, you can do that. If you have hair clips, you could do that. There's so many ways to pin these together. I have had these clips for, gosh, I don't know how long, and I have found them incredibly useful throughout the years. I mean, look, I have so many of them in large size and small size. And I use them quite often. And what they're doing is they're going to hold my fabric together, and they're going to make sure that these points of reference that we have very distinctive here, right? They're going to be held together. So as we start our mattress stitch down here at the bottom and work our way up, we don't accidentally get off track, okay? Because we want these ridges to match up as we are doing our seaming, all right? So do this all the way to the top. And because we're matching them up, we don't really have to stress too much about making sure this up here is even, because matching all of these up, it's going to be even. But if this was something else that you didn't have these garter bands, I would always match the top. This is my armhole edge, and this is my bottom edge. I would get the top and the bottom set first, and then I would start matching things together. But like I said, because we have this really nice garter ridge on both sides, it makes it easier to find where the two sides really meet up with the pattern. All right. And I know that there might be a question that you are out there and you're like, oh, I just want to use a whip stitch. Do I have to use mattress stitch? You absolutely could use a whip stitch if you want to. But my honest opinion is you've put this much work into your sweater. Why not go all the way and do the mattress stitch to make it look as seamless as possible instead of a whip stitch? Okay. So I have the side of my sweater completely pinned together. If I wanted to do my shoulders at this point, I could do the same thing. So I have my shoulders over here all pinned together just because I wanted to see how it looked. So if I wanted to, sorry, I didn't mean to hit my microphone. I can hold these together. And for the shoulders, I do start out here at the armhole edge. Okay, armhole edge. The reason I do that is because we do have those 4 stitches on hold at the neck edge, and you can feel like you're just getting off track if you start over there. So I'm going to start over here at my armhole edge. And what I'm doing is I'm matching up this like the stair steps of where we did the bind offs. I'm matching those up from the front to the back. So that way it's all put together up here and I can see, you can see right here, those are my 4 stitches that are going to be on hold. So that's where my last one will go. I'll put one right down there at the end. And then I could put one right here if I wanted to, just to make sure that stair step is put together. So now, right here, you can see I have the top pinned together as well. So I seam the shoulders after I seam the side. So I'm going to seam the side first. So now that everything is pinned into place, this is where I will come back down here and I open up my sweater. Okay. So remember I had it flat like this. Now I have opened it up. So I have my seam right here. Okay. And I will start down here at the bottom and work up towards the armhole. The reason you want to do that is because if for some reason maybe one side is a little bit longer than the other, or you mess up somewhere and you kind of need to fudge things into place, it's better to do that up at the armhole because it's going to be covered by your arms as you're wearing your sweater versus down at the end. And that's just general knowledge when you're seaming any sort of item. It's best to work towards the armhole or towards a point where you can hide any sort of a fudge. Does that make sense? So if you were to put sleeves into place, you would start at the bottom to work around and then come back to the bottom. So that way you finished down here. Okay. All right. So now that we have this, we're going to grab our yarn. Now, I have a whole bunch of little bits of yarn all over the place. So I can use whatever color I want to use. Now, I think I'm going to use this color because I think it will show up on the camera a little bit better. And I want to make sure that I'm pulling out enough yarn to get all the way to the top. But I do want to mention if you're using either the Lion Brand Ferris wheel yarn or the Roll With It melange yarn, that yarn tends to start to unravel and kind of fray a little bit as it's worked through all the stitches. So you do want to pay attention and make sure your yarn is not coming undone too much. Okay, so you definitely want to pay attention to that. Once you have your yarn on your tapestry needle, and I will say a bent tip tapestry needle for me is the best thing to use because it allows you to get into the stitch and then come up so that you're pulling up your 2 bars. It just helps me out so much easier. Now we're going to join this yarn with the figure 8 down at the bottom of our sweater, leaving that vent open, and then we're going to do a mattress stitch, which just means we're going to go up one side and grab 2 bars, come back, go up the other side and grab 2 bars, come back, go in where we came out, go up, grab 2 bars, and so on and so forth. I'm going to show you exactly how to do this. I'm going to zoom down a little bit tight here, and we're going to hope I stay in focus and I stay in frame, and you can see how this is done. It's going to require a little bit of patience, a little bit of time, and a little bit of finesse, but you can do this. Here we go. Okay, here's my yarn, and I'm going to start right down here so I can go ahead and remove this first one. And remember, I want to have these two bits of my garter bands to match up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from underneath and come up right next to where that garter band is right there. And just pull this up. Leave yourself a little bit of a tail, just so you can weave that in later. Come to the corresponding spot over here on this side, and you're only going one stitch in, okay? We're just going one stitch in. Remember, we had that selvage stitch that we kept stockinette stitch on the right side. Now we've gone up this side, came around, gone up this side. We're going to come back, go in the same place you came in over here. And what we've done, we've created, there's our figure 8. Can you see your figure 8? And we're just going to pull that together, okay? Now that our figure 8 is in place and our yarn is attached, it's time to start our mattress stitch, joining rows to rows. The best thing to remember with mattress stitch is you don't want to pull this real tight as you're beginning. You want to just be able to see where your stitches came out. So right now we came out over here. So we come back over here where this came out. You're going to go in where this came out, go underneath, and pull up 2 bars. All right, we want to pull up 2 bars. So I'm not in the right spot here. Underneath, and pull up 2 bars. So I have 2 bars. You see that? And then I'm going to pull this through. Okay, I'm not going to pull it real tight yet. Okay, I come back over here where it has come out. I'm going to go in, and I go up, and I pull up. Nope, is that it? Go in, and I pull up 2 bars. Okay, you can kind of pull it together a little bit. Make sure these are lining up. We come back over here, go in. You're going right along the edge, right? Go in where you came out, go in where you came out, go in and pull up 2 bars. Can you see that? I'm pulling up 2 bars. If it starts to feel like you're getting off a little bit, you can pull up 1 bar, you can go up 3 bars. You can just eat things up the best you can, right? Make sure these are still in line. Come back over here, go up, pull up 2 bars, and give this a little bit of pull. So it looks like you're kind of lacing it. Can you see that? Come over here, go up, pull up 2 bars. Come on this side, go in and pull up 2 bars. Is that right? What? Right there. All right. Can you see this? Can you see how it looks like it's a lace? Okay. You don't want to have this go too far, especially if you're using this yarn, because it will start to fray, and when you pull this, it'll come apart. But hold your tail and hold your working yarn and just pull the 2. Can you see how the 2 pieces of the sweater came together? Okay, they came together, they line up well. This bit here, we can go in and seam anything closed that we don't like. And we just keep going on. So you keep moving along like this. Now, this is what I mean about you need to be able to know where you came out, right? So I kind of pull this out. You can see I finished over here. This is the yarn that came over here. So I'm going to come in where that came out, pop up, make sure I grab my 2 bars, and continue on. Okay? And we're going to do this all the way up. And as we go, we want to make sure that when we get to these bands that they are lined up together, okay? That's the beauty of having these bands with this pattern is it's really going to help you with your seaming because it'll allow you to make sure that the front and the back are joined together very cleanly. You can see here, I'm not pulling real snug, right? I'm making sure, go in where I came out, pull up 2 bars, just real gentle. And then I'll pull it together. Okay. Get to this part. This is where I'll unclip that so I can see what's working here. And you can see I'm holding my hand underneath to kind of give myself room so that I can still see my bars right here. And I can see how my opening is here. And I'm using my other hand to kind of just help me fiddle the needle where I need it to go. All right. Can you see this? This is called the mattress stitch, and we're doing rows to rows. And we're doing stockinette rows to stockinette rows because I had that selvage stitch that was a stockinette selvage stitch. So we don't have to worry about trying to maintain the garter stitch or anything at the edge, because that selvage stitch is actually what is on the inside when we seam this together. Hold on, let me get this one here and I'll show you what I mean. Let me get this. Pull this through. Okay, so you can see here, it looks like the garter stitch is really seamless, right? This little ridge that we have here, that was our one stitch on either side that's now getting tucked in, and it's what's over here on this side. If you can see, that was the other side, it's tucked in. So that's what allows our garter stitch to come together and make our piece look seamless. Isn't that cool? Okay, go ahead, continue working the mattress stitch all the way up until you get to the armpit, the armhole, and everything should be lining up perfectly. When you get up to the top of the armhole, we're going to do another figure 8 and then weave in our tail. It's really that easy. You work on yours, I'm going to work on mine, and then we'll see each other when we're all done. Okay, let's go. Welcome back. Did you finish that seam? Hopefully you didn't find it too difficult. Let's take a look at mine. All right, so this is where I am after you left me. I am right up here to the top. I have pulled all of this together, and all I'm going to do here is take my tail and just use this big seam that you have on the inside and just weave your tail in. So you can kind of go back and forth and just secure it into place. I like to make sure I go back and forth and then go up and down, just because this is, your underarm area and it does have a lot of friction. So I just don't want that tail to come undone. And so I just make sure it's all secure. There we go. Once that is in place, I can go ahead and snip. And you can see here my yarn started to get a little bit frayed here towards the end. That's all right. So this remaining yarn here, it goes to the trash. Put that in the trash. And so what I have, well, this is crazy. For some reason, my camera completely stopped recording at that point. So I am actually editing the video right now, and I have the finished piece right here. Like, it's all done. So I'm going to show you what the side seam looks like, so that way you're not just hanging out, right? So let's go ahead and take a look down here. Okay, so this is where that video left off. This is my side seam. So you can see my garter stitch column came together very nicely. It looks like it is virtually seamless. The seam is not super big on the inside. It's nice and just a normal duper, super duper size. And we are ready to now move on to seam the shoulders, which unfortunately that video is not there either. So I'm going to have to re-record this section, but let's go ahead and wrap this up on your end, work the other side seam just like you did this one. And when that's complete, join me in part 2 where we will seam the shoulders together. You're almost done. I promise you're going to get there.